You're only 23 years old, but you're an OG on X. After all the growth you've seen in the last few years, what are some of the biggest differences between Mr. 69 and I am Aaron Will?
I've known Mr. 69 for so long, bro. Yeah. Those people are two completely different people. Even on X, bro. I mean, when I started, I didn't care. There was no plan. There was just, I saw a lot of people making ebooks. I'm making a lot of money from ebooks. So it's like, I can do this. I had like 2 grand in overdraft with $2,000. So it's like, I'll make some money with ebooks and then just bounce and do whatever else there was onto my next venture. But then, yeah, my bio was I make money drunk, aaron underscore 69 or whatever it was. There was just no thought process behind it. I just thought it was funny. Um, yeah, I think a lot of maturity, bro. I was 20 when I started. I'm 23 now. A lot of maturity's happened. I think I I thank a lot of the people who I followed and who I currently follow for the mindset changes and all the shifts that has been ingrained into my brain. But yeah, bro, I mean, when I first started, Aaron 69 was a moron. All my takes were just stupid. There was no plan. There was just, I'm going to make a ton of money and then I'm going to just dip and do whatever. But then as I kind of started growing and growing um, more, I kind of realized, oh, I could make a business out of this. And then I started maturing in the sense that a lot of business sort of aspects relate to life. So, when you talk to people and you understand their ideas, and it sort of changes how you think. And I think because I've had so many business connections now and just talking to everyone around the world and making all these different sort of networking relationships, it's just changed my mind so much. Whereas before, I didn't have anyone, to be honest, bro. I was just a drunk 20-year-old hanging around with other drunk 20-year-olds. So I didn't really have anyone to challenge my beliefs. Um, yeah, bro, I've just matured a lot since then.
Yeah, most of us in that age, that's all we're doing. But I mean, the thing about you, bro, and I relate to this a bit, is you've always been a creator. Like, even from 13, 14 years old, you weren't outside with friends. You bought yourself a laptop and you were working with Photoshop and GIMP and trying to sell on Fiverr and starting up YouTube channels and stuff. Where does this build, build, build mentality come from?
I've never liked the normal route of, go to school, get a job, work there for like 70 years and then just die. I've never liked that sort of route. It never really appealed to me. I was always more of a go against the norm and rebel type person. So I think one of the norms in life now is just go to school, get a job. And that's it. There's no creative input. You just follow the rules already been put there for you. And everyone in my school was doing it. There was no talk about business or there was no talk about entrepreneurship or anything outside of the norm. And it kind of pissed me off. So when I was, how old was I? I bought my first laptop at 13. I started teaching myself how to code. Then I switched into like different avenues. Like I didn't really, my friends in school were kind of like the outcast group. So we didn't all like sport. We weren't really the popular group. But we had friends, obviously, we were known, but it wasn't like the normal, like the high school jocks of the school. Um, so we were more into YouTube and stuff and Xbox and all that usual stuff, all like the nerdy stuff. And then my friend already had a YouTube channel, and he was like, "Oh, you should make one." So I was like, "Okay, cool." So I made a YouTube channel. I sucked at it. It's still up right now, but I started going. I started finding creativity through that with editing the videos, recording it, doing commentaries, and then I taught myself Photoshop. I taught myself how to edit, and I would just spend my days just recording and editing videos. And then that transitioned then into graphics design. So I started using Photoshop to sell banners on Fiverr. I think that's everyone's first gig, but I made no money from that. I made like maybe like $10 or something. Um, I remember I would go out with my girlfriend. She used to work in a bar, so I go out with my girlfriend, and she would be behind the bar working, and I would be at the front sitting on the bar stools with my laptop, just on Fiverr trying to get gigs and stuff. And that didn't work out. Then I went to university. Actually, just before I went to university, I released an app. So I taught myself how to program. made an app, did okay, family and friends bought it or whatever. But did pretty decent. So I went to university then, did computer science, hated it because I just don't like school. Um, those 3 to 4 years were kind of wasted on drinking and partying. There were no creative outputs there. And then I found Twitter. So Twitter, or X, whatever we're calling it, I've got in a really bad mind or habit of calling it Twitter and refusing to call it X, which I need to get rid of. But yeah, I found Twitter because that's what it was called back then. And I didn't really do much with it because I didn't need to at that point. I would like screenshot tweets. It's funny because my business partner now, I've got all his old screenshots of tweets that he used to post out because I would use that as advice. But yeah, I would screenshot some stuff and I would just ignore it. And then as soon as COVID happened and lockdown happened, I remember going through all that creativeness and screenshots and stuff, and then I just implemented it myself. So I've always been sort of try and do a different route instead of the usual. I mean, I remember I was in university, and one of the first weeks of university, I did have a little bit of money because of student loans and stuff, but I just wanted to make more, so I would buy the event tickets for all the newcomers, and I would just buy them out, and I would just go and join every Facebook group I could, and just be like, yeah, I've got tickets left for tonight. I've got tickets left, and people would DM me and be like, "Oh, can I have a ticket?" And I'd just sell it for double, and I made a lot of money, and I would use that money then to go out and drink and waste it all. But yeah, I've never liked the traditional do what you're told. This is what's normal.
You mentioned the drinking in the university. I want to go back to a cruise that you went on in 2018, and that ended up leading you down a path of poor choices with alcohol and finances that you've talked about. You went to university with $7,000 in your bank account, and then end of freshman year, minus 1,900, I think it was. How has your relationship with money changed as you've grown?
It's kind of the same as my mindset. I mean, when I was AA169, I didn't care about money. I would spend everything I had on booze or just on whatever, be on Amazon surfing. Um, but then as I kind of earned more money, I understood the value of it, so I wouldn't be so quick to give it away. Um, but yeah, bro. I mean, money was quite bad. Like it was $2,000 in debt. It was pounds, but I'll just call it dollars to stick with the thing. But yeah, I was 2,000 in debt, and I remember this one time I was in the club. I wanted to buy a drink, and I couldn't because I didn't literally didn't have enough money. So it kind of pissed me off, and I think that sparked the switch. Like I need to do something now. So that sparked my sort of entrepreneurial route with Twitter, and then the rest is history. But yeah, bro, money. I think right now I'm very frugal. I like to use the terminology or the phrase that I'm not a rich person. I'm just a poor guy with a lot of money. Um, and that keeps me sort of frugal. Like I'm always saving. I know it probably shouldn't be like this, but it's what I used to do when I was broke, and I would either spend more of my money on booze or I would just save it so I could spend it on booze. And now because I don't drink anymore, there's nothing to spend it on apart from gym gear and gym stuff. But yeah, I'm very frugal right now, and that's what I try and teach other people alongside like personal brand and stuff is to just be careful with your money because yeah, you may have a lot of money right now, but if something happens and then that money goes away, you've screwed yourself over.
That's right. But you had your last $22 at one point you spent on Dan Coe's design course, which ended up opening up, an agency for you and really got you going in terms of building wealth and building business. It reminds me a little bit of Dakota Robertson did something similar. He had, just a few thousand left in his account and he spent almost all of it on coaching with Dan, I believe it was. And when you talk to your students and even for yourself, like how do you think about, you talk about frugality, but then also investing in yourself and believing in yourself, putting that money towards something that you can build on?
I think there's a fly in my room. Fuck off. Um, yeah, bro. I think in self investment, I just said screw it, and I just spent the last money because yeah, okay, it was my last money in the world, but out of $2,000, $22 is not going to make a difference. So I thought, screw it. But yeah, in terms of the one thing I will never skimp on is coaching or courses or mentors and something, because obviously, providing that the person you're buying from is credible and actually valuable and can teach you something, then as long as you put that work in, you're going to make it back. So if you're spending like 10 grand, I've got no problem. I think the most I've ever spent on a course is about 10 grand, something like that, or 997, something like that. And I had no problem spending that because I know, number one, it was a tax write off, which was good. And number two, I knew I would make it back. So I think, as providing, obviously do your due diligence and your research and stuff, but always invest in yourself and spend the money, because that is one way of turning money into more money. This fly is attacking me. But yeah, Dakota, same thing. If he spends a couple of $1,000s talking with Dan, and it's turned into what he does now, it's the same thing. I feel like Danco is a big a big topic in turning people into where they are now. But yeah, I thought it's $22. That's like £15. So I was like, screw it, I'm gonna buy it. And here we are, bro. I mean, who knows, if I didn't buy that course, maybe I wouldn't be talking to you right now.
And I'm sure it was a great course, but it's also the dedication that you put towards it. You just study it religiously. And because probably it's your last couple dollars, you just have that intense, need to make it work. And that's really what it is. It's the work ethic. Like the information's out there, but if you really apply yourself or even put yourself in a situation where you're forced to apply yourself, that's really going to get the most out of it. And I know you joined Twitter specifically to make money, and you had your like old YouTube gaming account, flipped it into your new account, and you started selling courses like pretty early at like 200 followers, and then again at 5,000 followers. Is it ever too early to start monetizing? And is it different now than it was back then?
I think right what I did back then was kind of out of desperation, and I just need to make some money. But if I could go back and change, then I definitely would have. Bro, it's stupid in itself. I released a growth course when I had 200 followers. It's just dumb. But in a way, I'm glad I did it, but I wouldn't recommend anyone doing it like I did, because obviously I sold my first one for like, I think it was $10, something like that. Um, the same night I went to sleep after launching, and I was like, oh, this is possible. I can do this now. So it actually does work. And then that kind of sparked more and opened more doors for me. But I think, yeah, if you're in the same position I was, and you're thinking, oh, yeah, I need to monetize real quick, obviously it depends what route you're going down. But in terms of social media, and if you're selling like growth stuff, or if you're selling social media resources, then it's much better to build up the following first and prove competence pretty much, and then you can sell, instead of just jumping on and being like, yeah, I've gained one follower, I can sell a growth course easy. I got slated for that. I remember this big account was like, why are you selling a growth course when you've got like 230 followers or something? And I was like, well, I just want to make some money. But yeah, learn the skill first, then sell it.
Yo, guys, real quick, if you're enjoying the Louder podcast, you're going to love Louder Spaces. Every week, twice a week, I host Spaces on X unlike any other Spaces you've heard before. We've created a real audio experience and bring in big, influential accounts to discuss topics around personal brand, content, and monetization. We use custom AI audio, react to clips from other podcasts and videos, and we have what's called Amplify, where we bring audience members on stage and everyone in the room likes, comments, and retweets their content and gets them tons of exposure. You could be the next person we blow up. Just come by Louder Spaces every Wednesday and Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Follow me on X at GregLunt27. See you there. It's interesting. I saw a guy recently had 750 followers, and he was selling the how to get your first 500 follower course. You know what I mean? And yesterday I was in a space, and yeah, there was a guy in his banner. It's like mindset, brand, and growth, and it's like he had 146 followers, and I was like, dude, you need to take that out of your banner, because it's not that you don't have any good ideas or you can't write good tweets or something, but there's no, like, do it for yourself first. It just looks weird. It's like inauthentic. It just rubs people the wrong way. Maybe you could trick some losers, but all the winners are going to just roll their eyes at you. And you've been making money now doing what you're good at on X for a while. I remember you said that you used to tell people you were unemployed at one point just to like avoid the questions about making money online. Has the perception of making money online changed? Have you noticed that? How do you introduce yourself now?
I still do it, bro. I mean, it's not so much because I don't want people to know what I do because of, oh, it's shunned upon, because obviously businesses, a lot of people love people who start businesses. They find it motivational. It's more so for the fact that I know, especially because the people who I tell and I meet will get jealous of it, and because I don't want to get jumped. But I know if I told some people who, like, I always see these people at the gym, old friends of mine who are still in the same sort of life that they were when I left them. And obviously, I used to be like that, but I changed a lot. So if I now leave them as, just this guy who's got no money and who are doing the same things as them all the time, and come back as this guy who's got a lot of money, obsessed with the gym and self improvement, and turned his life around, they're going to be like, oh, this guy's just changed, and start hating. There's a lot of people like that out there for no reason, simply because of like jealousy and stuff. So yeah, I just say, yeah, I'm unemployed, or yeah, I'm just looking for jobs, because unless they find my Twitter account or my X account and they'll be like, oh, you're lying. But yeah, I just say I'm unemployed, bro. Because one, because I don't want to get jumped, and two, because I don't want people to know what I do. Like, obviously on social media it's different because everyone knows what you do, but in real life there's still a lot of people who think you're that same person you were like 5 years ago. And I kind of just want to keep it like that for me, because I don't really want people knowing what I'm doing, knowing what I'm up to, because it attracts a lot of unwanted attention and unwanted and unneeded hate, because people get the jealousy and the envy come in, and then they try and ruin it for themselves or ruin it for you because they're not doing it. So I think it's just better to be quiet.
You're probably right. And I think it ends up working for you in the long run as well, just because when you start bragging about what you're doing, yeah, like you say, it kind of attracts some of the wrong energy. And you can just build in silence, and eventually people will know. And it actually makes you kind of cooler. Like there's this idea when, say you're at a party, and instead of going around being like, yeah, I do this, I do that, when you're at the other side and then someone's like, hey, Aaron over there, he like actually does all this stuff. And now it just like explodes. So it kind of works in your favor. If you just do your thing and just provide value and make your money and live your life. So I respect that. There's a lot of money as well. I wanted to ask you on LinkedIn. Okay. So I just interviewed Luke Matthews, who's a monster. He's a good dude. And he's like, he likes X, he likes the culture there, but he is really big on LinkedIn, and because there's a lot of money there. Uh, you service a lot of, probably high profile people with money. Have you ever thought about building over there? Like, what's your take on LinkedIn? It seems very fertile with like similar long posts. Like a lot of the same content could maybe be, attributed over there.
It's funny, bro, because I just literally got off a call with my brand mentors, and they were saying about, because the algorithm's a bit screwed up now on X, that they are going to try and go omnipresent on all TikTok, Insta, LinkedIn. And they were saying you should do it too. And I was also talking to my business partner last night, and he sent an exact voice message that said we need to branch out. I was like, yeah, I think it is time to. So yeah, I'm not on. Well, maybe I am on LinkedIn, but I'm not active at all. I've got probably 0 followers or whatever it's called. Um, but yeah, I do think it is time to branch out now, not just for me, but for everyone, because I recorded a video this morning talking about how if you have no other resources, like you don't have an email list or you don't have any other social media accounts or online presences, and the one traffic source you have, like X, it could be, if you're just on X and you get banned, there's no way you're getting back up to where you were on your own, completely left pretty much. So you need to be building an email list. You need to be omnipresent. And like, I'm on Instagram, but I'm not taking it as serious as I probably should. But yeah, I think LinkedIn is the next big move that I need to study and get into, because I think X now is becoming a bit of a clusterfuck. So yeah, LinkedIn. I know a lot of people, like a lot of people, a lot of clients of mine are on LinkedIn, and they say it's really good. They've been saying it to me for the past 2 years. You need to get on LinkedIn, and you need to branch out into TikTok and Insta. I've been like, yeah, I know, but I've just never got around to doing it. So I think once I finish this I have to keep it under wraps because we're announcing it tonight. Once I finish this next project with my business partner, then we're going to branch out onto LinkedIn, Insta, maybe Threads, if it's still good. But yeah, I definitely think omnipresence is the way forward.
Yeah, that I think that's the bigger point. But with LinkedIn in particular, I just mentioned Luke. Like part of the reason he blew up on there, bro, is because he was really raw and it's kind of buttoned up and stuffy over there, and he just kind of like did his thing and didn't give a fuck. And I feel like you have that in you as well, of course, and so you can really make a dent there probably pretty quickly if you actually dedicated yourself to it. But I did want to, you just mentioned this announcement you have coming tonight. So this, by the time this podcast comes out, it'll be live. I was waiting. I was hoping it was going to come through in the email this morning for me, but so I could have a little jump on it to talk about it with you. But I wanted to ask you now, since you haven't officially announced it, but like I said, when this is live, it'll be out there. So I know it has to do with building authority around your brand, and I really like that. It's something that I'm actually working towards with my brand. I really like that word because that's how you monetize, right? Everyone, the audience growth is great, but we're trying to monetize. And just because you have a big audience doesn't mean you can. But when you have authority through your audience, that's really what matters. So, can you talk about Death of Outbound, this new project that you're working on?
Yeah, of course. So, being this is going to be out, you're the first person to hear this. So, releasing, I don't want everyone to go like, oh, releasing a course, but it's not a course, like a Gumroad ebook. So, dropping a course, and it is about the death of Outbound and how you're going to avoid it, because it's definitely the flood of Outbound is coming in after Hormozi's um, webinar and his new book coming out. There's already been a massive flood of new accounts, and the way he was teaching how to do or how to generate leads is through Outbound. Send cold emails, send cold DMs, send cold outreach messages, and get these clients. And you probably had loads, bro. I've had thousands. You've had loads. Everybody's had so many. Bro, do you want short form? Bro, do you want emails written for you? And it's just like, fuck off. No, I don't. It's just becoming a plague, to be honest. So we got fed up of it. We were talking and we were like, bro, we've got to do something about this shit because it's just absolutely appalling. So we were talking and we were like, I think one of us got an inbound lead, and we were like, oh, we should make it about like inbound leads and how you can turn your profile into a lead generating machine through the content you write. And we were like, yeah, that's good. So we were like, fuck it, let's make a course and let's make a full on course about how you can do this. So yeah, when we say the death of Outbound, and I'm always pushing the mimetic, authority is better than outreach or outbound, I'm talking about inbound is so much better than outbound, because I would rather spend my time making content to attract people than sending like 100 cold DMs a day and just pissing people off and getting blocked. So it's like, imagine if I never met you before and the first thing I said to you was, oh, how's it going, Greg? I really love your content, bro. Oh, I really love the podcast. It's, yo, Greg, do you need a fucking email on that? And you just get pissed off and be like, oh, it's another one of these guys. And I think when you do that, don't get me wrong, that 1% of people do know how to send a cold DM and a cold email and get leads from it. But the other 99% is absolutely abysmal. And they just kind of ruin their brands for themselves before they even start growing it. And they just become another one of those, put them in the folder of morons to block or never talk to. And it's just like a thing then if they're offering like only a few people on the short form game are actually killing it. The rest are just, they've learned it on TikTok from one video and they're like, yeah, bro, I can do this easy. I know how to edit. And then they just offer it. There's no research gone into it. There's no offer. There's no niche. It's just kind of instant gratification. I want to make money right now. And it ruins it then for everyone else who is actually good at doing that stuff. So we were like, yeah, let's make a course on how we can help people turn into an authority figure, become a lighthouse in a sea of ships. So they come to you instead of you going out to them. Like yesterday, 3 people DM'd me asking about the service that me and my business partner offer. And if we close all 3, then we make something like 60K. And I was just from people just, yeah, I didn't do any work. I was working on the course. And they just DM'd me. Two of them jumped on a call me yesterday, and then one last night. And I have a call with them in a few days. And if I close all three of those over the next 3 months, I'll make 60K. And that's just, that's somebody's yearly salary. So that is the end goal, is to help people. It's not even just about leads as well. It's just about presence. Like, you become the go-to guy for podcasting, or someone becomes the go-to guy for web design. It's just becoming that sort of, it's the zenith pretty much of online presence.
That's what I've been able to do over the last couple months around spaces. And so I'm experiencing some of this like inbound, like, hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? And I agree. It's been a game changer in terms of just you create the authoritative content. And you kind of rolls over into just a lot of leads coming through your DMs. And then I've been getting so many, I just slapped up a thing on my webpage too. Is like, want to work with me? And I've been getting a bunch of people filling out, a lot of them are junk, but like I just got one this morning that looks pretty good. So it's like, I don't care if I get 30 garbage ones if one, real client comes through. And so, yeah, inbound is awesome. And I think it's definitely hard to get to, but I love the name of the course. I like Death of Outbound. It's just like, it's got like, reminds me of like Liquid Death almost. It's like you go for like it's like a market that people have been playing in for a while, but it just has like, it's just raw. So it's cool, man. I'm excited to see that. But I did want to ask you about spaces because, like I said, that's how I've built my authority content, and that's how I encourage others to do it as well. Obviously, it's not the only way, but I have seen you in a lot of spaces. You like to talk, as you said, and you'll be on louder spaces in a couple of weeks. How has spaces played a part in your content strategy?
Honestly, bro, I've never hosted a space myself. I love jumping on them because I've never been the type to interview people. I always like being interviewed because I just can't shut up. But it is very good for, there's only so much you can say on a tweet, and there's only so much you can say with text. And then you need to eventually evolve into, especially if you're building a personal brand, you need to evolve into showing your face more, speaking more, so people can actually interact with you and not a page. Spaces does that very well. So a lot of people didn't even know I was British. They thought I was American. I've had a few people think I was Indian and some stuff. But yeah, a lot of people thought I was American and Canadian. And then when I jump on Spaces, they put in the comments, "Oh, I didn't even know he was British." So it it gives you that second level of personal branding, because I think personal branding, there's two layers. You've got the branding, and then you've got the personal aspect, which is even further. And the personal branding's easy. You can just write tweets and put a nice picture on. But then you've got the personal aspect, which you need to actually develop a relationship and a deeper sort of connection with the people who come into the brand. It's like if Apple, for example, started releasing phones all the time and they just didn't put anything else out, and they never had any marketing or anything. It's just, yeah, just buy this phone. There's no connection, but the way through their marketing, then you build a connection with that brand. It's the exact same thing with the personal brand. So Spaces, bro, has been very eventful. I love doing them. I love it's just not even for personal branding either, just for interacting with people. It's such a easy way to connect with anyone. Like me and you right now, we've basically barely ever talked on DMs, but now we're having a full on conversation. It's such a cool way as well of interacting with people, like all over the world, pretty much.
Yeah, but you do have to pair the spaces with the tweets. Like I feel like spaces is a great way to kind of accelerate and make people care about what you're writing, and so that they work really well in tandem together. And there's all this stuff going on with the algorithm right now. You made a great post yesterday, kind of talking about how it's optimizing for engagement and for question asking, and it has to do with like the ad share revenue model that's coming through. Can you describe that? What's the meta right now? How should people be thinking about tweeting?
The algorithm, bro, I swear it changes every day. Like since I posted yesterday about it, it's probably changed again. And I'm probably, what I said yesterday is probably completely wrong today. But yeah, there's definitely been a massive shift. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's saying, "Oh, my reach is low. My reach is screwed up. My impressions are down. Engagement's screwed up. My followers even. I've hit 260K this week 4 times because they keep going back down. Because I don't know if it's like bot cleansing or something, or people just deactivating, or if I just suck. But yeah, I think because of the new ad sharing revenue thing, it's good, but I think it's screwed a lot of things up for the algorithm. Because obviously, if you've got something that can make you money, people are going to try and exploit it. It happens all the time. And then what people started doing was trading retweets, buying retweets. They want as much, and it's just promoting then crap engagement bait stuff. Like what's your favorite color, or agree or disagree on something like, oh yeah, grass is green. Agree or disagree. It just means nothing to anyone. So I think what is it? This is my theory. It's probably somewhat correct. But I think because of the new ad sharing revenue feature, a lot of people now are being like, yeah, I can make so much money from this. So I'm going to buy as many retweets as I can, try and get as much reach as I can, but I'm also going to post content that encourages participation, which is like questions and stuff. So if you remember that black and blue dress thing that went around, and
Yep.
it's
Yeah,
similar to
white
that.
and gold and black and
Yeah,
blue.
yeah. It's similar to that. So you get one sort of viral potential post, and then you post it, and then you put some polarization into it, and then people just kick up a storm, bro. They like in the comments like, "Oh, you're wrong," and they're just arguing with each other, and then arguing with the creator, and then the creator sits back and just be like, "Yeah, I'm making a fuck ton of money from all you guys," but then it kind of drowns out. Then obviously because the platform sees that as socialization, and they want more people being active on the app, it pushes them to the top. But then, whereas if you've got a guy who's just constantly talking about how to make 10 grand a month, or if they're talking about how to do this and how to do that, and it's extremely niche down because it's got a lack of socialization, or it's just a few people commenting every now and then, they're going to be like, oh, this guy's not bringing that much activity to the platform, so let's just bottom him out. And I think that's what's happened to a lot of the big creators because, well, I say big creators, most of the big creators now have gone down the fucking engagement bait route. Like, what's your favorite color? Um, but the people who have stuck to it and stuck to their niche and just continue doing what they normally used to do, they are getting the brunt of the, I don't want to say attack, of the result, I guess. So it's very screwed up right now. But I think I was talking again to my brand guys, and everyone agreed they've also screwed up with their, or they're also screwed up with their reach. But I think the number one piece of advice I can give for the algo changes is it's happened to me before so many different times. And the first time it happened to me, I was about to quit. I was at 27K. I couldn't get off 27K. And it's the same scenario right now. My engagement's still fine. My engagement was fine when I was at 27K. I'm stuck at 256K. I can't get off it. I was stuck at 27K. It's the exact same scenario. But eventually it stopped and I grew again. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff with like shadow ban and stuff and all the it's very deep rooted, and I don't think anyone knows. You can analyze all this code like NFT God analyzed the 13,000 lines of code, psychopath. And he found all this stuff, but I guarantee it's been updated again. So you'll never outwork it or figure it out. You can work with it to an extent, but I think everyone just needs, my piece of advice is just everyone needs to continue what they're doing and stick with it. It'll phase out. It always does. But yeah, just don't resort to posting shit because it's just going to ruin your personal brand.
I'm with you 100%. And I think that people eventually will get tired of the shitty questions. I mean, they're probably already getting there. Like, we don't have very long attention spans for it's like clearly you're just trying to manipulate things, and the engagement will actually probably go away from like, what's your favorite podcast or whatever kind of questions. And so, but I do think overall, the idea of like pushing socialization and responses is good for the platform, and it's good for creators to like challenge themselves to actually have good conversations with their community, because ultimately that's going to be the most beneficial for them and for everybody else. So I think the algorithm is positioned nicely, and now it's about our psychology, just like not just falling for it almost, and going for all these clickbaity kind of things. So I agree. Just stick with how you actually bring value. Definitely find ways to have social interaction, and create conversation within your community, but make sure it's around your thing, and all of it kind of evens out in the end. It really just comes down to authenticity, which is something that you are a master of. Even if you just look at the mullet, and then you had the picture you posted yesterday. I closed a client on a Zoom call with my shirt off, which is like so fucking epic. Tell me about, like, because that's a bit of a risk, I feel like, to show up on that call like that. how important is it to take risks? Not necessarily everyone needs to do their shirt off, but things like that to attract the right people. Because I've had clients, where it's like you start working with them and you're like, shit, maybe I should have been a little more, I should have had a bigger filter. So, like, talk about being authentic to attract the right people.
Yeah. In terms of risks, I take risks a lot, but because I can afford to. Like the client thing yesterday, I could have my shirt up. One, because it was fucking boiling, and two, because I just, if he gets mad or offended at the fact I didn't wear a shirt, then I would just say, fuck you, bro, I'm not working with you. I don't need you. So, but obviously, it would be different if I really needed the client and I'm not very well known. It would be completely different then. But it was to me, it wasn't a risk. It's just something I do all the time. Like I'm only wearing a thing, what's it called, a wife beater right now because I've just been to the gym. But yeah, in terms of authenticity, and I think a lot of people they're just not authentic. Like the conversation we just had before the podcast thing. There's a lot of people who are very inauthentic and they're trying to do things that require authenticity, like personal branding. You need to be personal. You can't be, if I'm copying Dan Coe's tweets or ideas all the time, eventually Dan Coe is going to run out of ideas and then I'm going to run out of ideas. Whereas if I just stick to what I personally do and what I believe, then I can't run out of ideas because I'm in my own brain. But yeah, the big piece of advice I always have for creators is to do, especially personal branding, is to do everything with authenticity and genuineness. Like if you are writing a comment, just do it because you want to say something, or because you have something to say, or because comments are the best thing to grow. Or if you're writing a tweet, do it because that thought is in your head right now. It's not because you're like, oh, I've got to tweet. Because then when you force something, it becomes inauthentic, and then when it becomes inauthentic, it just becomes annoying. You see a lot of people who know comments are very good for growth, so they go into people's tweets and they just fucking reword the tweet, or they say some dumb shit, or it's just no meaning at all. But then you can differentiate those people from the people who you can just tell are on there for fun and just doing things because they genuinely want to do it. Like there's a guy who I didn't mentor him, I just gave him some advice when he first started. He's a fitness guy. And he was like, bro, you're so funny in the comments and stuff. And he was like, how do you do it? I was like, well, I'm just myself because I am genuinely like this in real life. Just a moron, pretty much. But he was like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. And he started doing it himself, and he just started leaving just these stupid comments, but they were funny because you could just tell that's what he's like, and that's what makes it better. Whereas if you know that person's not like that and they're just leaving stupid stuff for the sake of it, it just kind of shines through, and you can be like, oh yeah, this guy's just fake. So authenticity is everything. Like you really have to put it into every single thing you do, especially on social media and with personal branding. Like DMs, send it because you want to talk to the person, not because you want to try and sell them something. Comments, write them because you generally have something to say. And tweets, that's in your head right now, not because I'm telling you to tweet. um yeah, authenticity, bro, it's very lost, I think, on X right now, because a lot of people know, yeah, I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna make this account. I'm gonna personal brand it, and I'm gonna copy what everyone else is. Dan Cobro gets copied so much, and I see everyone trying to imitate his style and his tweets and his content, and it doesn't work for them because what works for Dan doesn't work for you because you don't think the same way as Dan, or I don't think the same way as you. So if I tried to be you, it would fucking flop. But yeah, I think if more people just did everything from, or if more people just did things because they just want to instead of because they feel like they have to, then the authenticity problem would be solved.
It's a lack of self-awareness in some ways, because I think one of the problems is that people don't even know who they are. So it's hard to be authentic when they don't really have any thoughts of their own. They're just maybe a product of everything that they listen to and see and read, and they haven't taken the time. For me, spending a lot of time alone has given me a lot of clarity on who I am, what I believe, and then I'm able to translate that into my content. You mentioned about the comments. I just wanted to say, like, I've noticed how many comments you respond to, and also the DMs. Like, even before we started talking about this, before I started getting a little traction, even, I'd sent you a couple DMs and you respond to everything, man. And it's really awesome to see because I know how busy you are. I really respect your grind. How young you are too. I didn't realize that until I started researching you for the pod. And I'm just a huge fan of everything you're doing. The volume that you put out on X is really cool. You're doing just so many tweets a day, but they're not empty tweets either. They make you think, and big fan of your stuff. So I just wanted to thank you for coming on the show today. And if you want to leave everybody with maybe a lasting thought or some sort of encouragement, and then of course we'll be linking your course and all your socials in the description below, man.
Yeah, perfect, bro. Thank you for having me on, bro. The research was impeccable. I think this is the best podcast I've been on where you know shit about me that I couldn't even remember. So props, bro. I respect that. Yeah, I think the number one thing I'll leave people with, it's not going to be some cringy like, oh, just be consistent. It's going to be just touch it. It's going to touch on the last topic. You need to do everything that you do in life. You need to do it because you genuinely want to do it. And then when you genuinely want to do it, you stop forcing shit. You realize then, oh, this works, or this doesn't work. And then if it doesn't work, you stop doing it, you change. If it does work, then you know what to get to do with. But there's nothing worse than lying to yourself and building up fakeness because someone else told you to do it, or you think that's the right way. So you need to do every single thing you're doing in life or you want to do in life. Do it because you want to do it. Don't do it because maybe I want to do it or you want to do it. Do it because it comes from a place of, yeah, I really want to do this.
Amen, bro. Aaron, thank you for coming on the show, brother. I really appreciate you.
No problem, bro. It was a pleasure.